Shalom u'bracha, peace and blessings. This week's Dvar Torah is is going to be focusing on Kitniyot, legume products on Pesach, and in particular the recent responses that were approved by our law committee, the Committee on Law and Jewish Standards, and the ramifications of those various positions. In order to be able to discuss them on a informed level, I'd like to review the concept of kitniyot and talk about how refraining from eating kitniyot, refraining from eating legume products, has become a universally accepted practice in Ashkenaz communities. The items which are prohibited as chametz are leaven products that contain any of the 5 species of grain, delineated as wheat, rye, spelt, oats, and barley. Those are the only items which can become chametz. The first mention of a prohibition of legumes or kitniyot is found in the Talmud, which is 9th century. There's a minority opinion of Rav Yochanan that's quoted saying that rice and millet are prohibited. Later in that very same tractate, Rav Ashi tells us that his teachers, Rav Huna and Rava, used to eat rice at the Seder, and concludes that we pay no attention to Rav Yochanan ben Nuri. And at this point in history, the custom to refrain from eating kitniyot was a minority opinion which was not widely practiced. In later generations, the custom to refrain from eating kitniyot is referred to as a minhag Yisrael, a universally accepted practice among the community of Israel. Of course, they were only talking about the Ashkenaz community. The Balei Tosfot, 13th century France, mention this custom. They report it. They talk about refraining from eating rice, beans, millet, and lentils. The Shulchan Aruch and other commentaries also record the practice, and the list is expanded to include kasha, which is buckwheat, mustard, peas, and sesame seeds. The Mishnah Berurah offers 3 reasons for the practice. One concern is that kitniyot is often grown in the same fields as other grains and may get intermingled together with those grains. So one may actually find grains among the kitniyot that were added in or got intermingled in the fields when they were growing. Kitniyot can also be processed to make them appear as chametz. That would create an issue of marit ayin, the appearance of impropriety. And the third concern was that kitniyot is processed and handled by the same vendors as other grains, and grains can get intermingled with the kitniyot. It is my humble opinion that the second reason, marit ayin, the appearance of impropriety, no longer applies today. If you go to any major vendor of kosher for Passover items, you can find kosher for Passover cakes, you can find kosher for Passover bagels, you can find kosher for Passover Cheerios, you can find all varieties of things that have been made to appear as chametz that are not, and it is a universally accepted practice to eat them. So it seems that culturally we've gone away from reason number 2. However, I can tell you as a person who cooks with beans often that I'll be checking beans for extraneous material, and it is common to find barley mixed in with beans, which would seem to stand behind the logic for the prohibition in the first place. Now, it's important to understand that while the Sephardic community never prohibited the use of kitniyot, they had procedures in place to check kitniyot before Pesach. They would only purchase them before Pesach. They would check them, remove the extraneous material. So they had another way of addressing the concerns that were addressed by the Ashkenaz tradition. So now let's look at the responses that were approved by the law committee. We're going to focus on two of the responses. The responsa that permits the consumption of kitniyot in the Ashkenaz community, and the responsa that maintains the current prohibition, however, permits the consumption of kitniyot products by those who are on limited diets and need an expanded variety for health reasons. The first responsa basically allows people in the Ashkenaz community to practice what has been the long-standing custom in the Sephardic community. That is to purchase kitniyot before Pesach and check them for extraneous material, chametz, and if they are free of chametz, to use them on Pesach. The responsa also permits the use of those kitniyot products that would not have a possibility of being intermingled with chametz, even if they are purchased on Pesach. For instance, corn on the cob or peas in a pod. The logic behind this is an argument that many of the reasons for the original prohibition are not functional, although in my humble opinion, two of them are, and the idea that we need to make Judaism more accessible and unencumbered by unneeded prohibitions. I agree wholeheartedly with this logic. However, I am somewhat concerned that the reasons for the prohibition are not completely inapplicable today, and I am not ready on a personal level to accept this responsa. On the other hand, the responsa that maintains the status quo in the Ashkenaz community, however, opens the door to those who are on gluten-free diets and other restricted diets to avail themselves of the Sephardic practice, is something that I fully support and I feel is a mitzvah. I feel that if someone has a limited diet because of health concerns, it is a mitzvah to accommodate them, and we should purchase kitniyot before Pesach, examine them for extraneous material, or purchase kitniyot products that are certified kosher for Passover. There are many to be found now. The label reads, La'ochle kitniyot bilvad, for those who eat kitniyot on their own. As far as our practices here in Temple Israel, because Temple Israel must remain a venue in which all of our congregants can feel comfortable, we will maintain the standard Ashkenaz tradition. As far as each of you in your own homes, I would encourage you to please read the articles online that are available about this issue and make an informed decision. And I'm interested to hear what you decide to do in your own homes. Both the position that maintains the traditional ban on kitniyot and the position that removes it have been accepted by the law committee. They are based on sound rabbinic judgment, and I again encourage you to read the logic, make an informed decision, and I would be very interested to hear the conclusion that you come to. Shabbat Shalom, And as we approach Pesach, may you have a sweet and joyous Pesach season.